Thank you for joining. This is Chelsea, and I'm here with a special guest today. She is a speaker, and she helps people through many different situations in their life. And I can't wait to introduce you to her and let her tell her story and some tips and tricks on how you can deal with things in your life. Her name is Arida, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so happy that you got to spend some time with me today. I know your time is very valuable and you are probably a super busy lady. So I would love for you to start off just telling us your story and like where you started and possibly, you know, what you have planned in the future.
Okay, well, I come from a violent background. As a child, I lived in violence until I was 16 and I left home. And wasn't too long after that, I entered into an abusive relationship that was a long-term relationship. I got past that only to find myself riddled with anxiety and depression and unable to deal with even day-to-day trials. And as luck would have it, I got a job, and it was my dream job, and I worked there for many years until my boss was accused of embezzlement. And it was a small office. He was fired and locked out, and I was left in charge of everything. And the board of directors was down my neck, detectives were down my neck, all kinds of legal, and it was a membership situation, so all the members were down my neck. It was the most traumatic happening in my life. But the funny thing about it was that I got through it with relative ease. I made it through, and I learned how to deal with my anxiety and my depression. And since then, having helped all my staff get through it as well, I have been asked to talk to people about going through the troubles. And then when they find out about my background, they're more interested in that as well and how I survived that. So by using what I did and my psychology, I did go to college for psychology. I am not licensed psychologist, but I do have a psychology background. So using that and my own personal trials and tribulations, what I do is help people see how they can get from the middle or the midst of problems to feeling clear and alive and happy again. And then what I do right now is mostly I speak to that. I do have a book that's going to be coming out shortly about my background, about my life, and how I deal with trials and tribulations and how I recommend other people do it. And I'm hoping in the future that I'll be able to give more people the help that they need and have more success in the speaking arena so that people can. I mean, there's a lot of, especially this last year, a lot of people going through trials and tribulations. So there's a lot of need for people to figure out how to deal with even just the day-to-day trials, much less traumas.
Oh yeah, I definitely have spoke to a lot of people, and even if you just are on social media, you hear people like letting their hearts out, saying like how hard they're going through things, and you know, very open about things that they've experienced in their past and stuff. And a lot of people don't know how to deal with that. So what you do is so important.
Yeah, you really, the thing is people think they're going through this stuff alone. Nobody else will relate or whatever. But so many people experience things that they can't be vulnerable about. But if they were a little more vulnerable, oh, that's a hard word. They could maybe get the help that they need.
Right. It's true. I mean, like I did say, some people do open up, but the majority do not. The majority
Exactly.
Keep it to themselves, and it shows up in other ways in their lives.
And that's what I try to speak to is people don't realize the reason that they're acting out, whether it's anger or fear or anxiety or whatever, that it's because they're not dealing with their own personal trauma. and they won't even admit it to themselves, much less to somebody else. So helping them find these means and methods to deal with the situation is terribly important, and to make these kinds of things available so that they know that they're out there. And it's not necessarily that you have to go and spend 3 years going to a psychologist. You just need to know how to cope right now. And that's what I try to speak to.
Right, right. And that is key, using tools and things that you can take hold of on your own and really work through these things. That is invaluable, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I know you said you have a book coming out. What other things do you have in your future that you see yourself doing?
Well, I'd like to do more workshops or seminars. I don't know which one is the exact right title, but
I think they're people, the same.
Yeah, I think they're the same thing. Yeah, that's the way I see it. To help people more one-on-one, because when I speak, I tend to speak to large groups, and I find afterwards people coming up with their individual stories, which I want to listen to every one of them and help every one of them. But when you're in a big group setting like that, it's difficult. So I'm hoping I can start some workshops and even retreats. I live in the mountains. It's a beautiful area, and I would love to have retreats for people to come and spend just a couple of isolated days working on themselves.
I love the retreats idea.
Yeah, because people don't work on themselves. They're willing so often to do so much more for other people and not for themselves. So a retreat would be a real helpful thing for them.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, and I've had a little bit of experience with those. I've been in a women's retreat, and it is like a whole different thing. Like it allows you to just spend time, thinking about why you feel the way you feel. And a lot of times there's group activities and different things that help you kind of step out of your comfort zone and really think about how you can improve yourself. And you don't have to think about your kids or your job or anything like that. So it really does like isolate.
Exactly. It gives you the permission to say, I'm first right now. There's nothing else tugging at my attention. And that's what really, again, it touches my heart to hear so many people that need that, and that if I'm able to help them, that's the world to me.
Right.
Anyway.
Definitely. Well, it's so nice that you do that for people. Now, I know you said you have a book. Where is that going to be available anytime soon, or is there a timeline that you have for that?
Well, hopefully it will be completed and printed or published by this spring. It's called I Did It, and So Can You, a survivor's guide to trauma in their life. And it will be announced and available on my website.
What's your website?
It's aradiazenobia.com. And I believe Chelsea's going to put it up so you can see how to spell that. It's just like it sounds, but it's a little difficult. So
yeah,
but if you go there,
put that on there.
Yeah, I'll discuss the book on there. There's a blog on there and various things. So I'll be discussing that and how it's coming along and when it'll be ready. But I also, when I give my talks, my speeches, I have my book available, or will have my book available there as well.
Oh, that's awesome. So now I know, so we met on Instagram. Do you ever reach out to people and speak to people there, or do you have a different social media area that you would like to send people?
Well, I do Instagram, which is again Aradia_Zenobia on Instagram. I also do Twitter. I do a lot of talking with people on Twitter. It's amazing how vulnerable people will be on a social media site like that. And there, and I don't know what my thing is with difficult words, but I'm oxycentricity.
It's like a pre-filter, like, okay, if you know how to spell this.
You really want to talk to me.
Yeah, I'll have it on here so people can just click on it and you won't have to worry about spelling.
Beautiful.
That's fine. But I love it. Yes, I agree. Twitter is a place where people really just like put so much of themselves out there, and it's like an instantaneous, they put a thought out, and then people can immediately give them feedback and support. And I really love Twitter for that. That's definitely
And
a
how
good
vulnerable
place.
people will make themselves on there. I was really amazed by that. And I have made some very close friends and some very strong relationships through that. I have to admit that I was really surprised by that, but I love
Yeah.
it.
And this year especially, I can't tell you how many close friendships I've made over the internet just this
Yeah.
year. I mean, and it's a different type of friendship because um because you're online, it feels like you can be a little bit more open than maybe if you met for face to face. So then it's like each other a little bit on a different level, which is nice. And then eventually, hopefully, we all get to meet in
Get to meet
person.
in person. It's like maybe once we get past this year, we can
Ah,
do that. But yeah, I am pleasantly surprised by the strength of the relationships that I have. And I've actually met people who live close to me, and we only discovered that after we became rather close on the media. Then we said, well, when this is passed and we can get together, we have to do this. And that, I mean, to me, that's exciting that people are reaching out like that.
oh
And
yeah.
that, then that there are people that respond to that, and they respond to it positively. There's a lot of kindness out there that we overlook, I think.
I agree. I definitely agree. And I think people genuinely want to help each other. So it's nice to be able to put that good energy out there to help each other and support each other, especially now in this super trying
Oh,
time.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I do believe it comes back too. So you put out this good energy and help people, and then that will come back to you eventually down the road. I mean, it might not be immediate, but I think doing good definitely is way better than just worrying and being self-centered and worrying just
Absolutely.
about yourself.
And that's an interesting point, because that's one of the things that really, when you're going through tough times, is reaching out to help somebody else out of your own empathy actually helps you to deal better with your own situation. Because so often we see somebody else's trials and we think, I wouldn't want to be them. What I'm going through is nothing, even though they might be thinking the same thing about us. It's amazing how much you can help somebody just by reaching out, and help yourself at the same time.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It does put things in perspective, where you think that your world is falling apart, but really things could be a lot harder. Things could always be worse. No matter what is
Oh,
going on, it can always be worse.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, generally, if you stop, take a breath, and just think about the situation, it 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 will pass. And you can say to yourself, whether it's 5 years from now it won't matter, 10 years from now it won't matter. If you can see the irrelevance of putting all of your hopes and dreams into this trauma situation, you can see your way clear through it. And part of that is, again, if you can see somebody else, if you can see somebody besides yourself, you're going to see a clear path. I mean, that's almost foolproof way to get through trials and tribulations.
Oh, I agree. I agree. That's a really good tip. Are there any other good tips that you'd like to give the audience, just as a good closing, on things, if they're going through something difficult, something that you suggest people do to help them make a difference in their life?
Well, my one of my favorite suggestions for people to do is take a minute to actually think about what you're going through, whether you write it down as a list. This is the biggest problem part of it, whatever, 1 2 3, or talk to somebody and say the same thing. Well, the worst of it is this, the worst of it is that, whatever. Make a list for yourself of exactly why it's so terrible, and then think about what you can do about it. I mean, is it out of your control? Like, I could do nothing about the fact that my boss was being arrested for embezzlement, but I could handle my own reaction to it. people getting all upset with me. Well, there's only so much I could do about that. And so once I realized what I could do and that I had done it or that I was doing it, that made it easier. So if you can get somebody to listen to you so you can do it out loud, that's a real relief. But at the very least, write it down, go through and show yourself what the steps are, and you'll be surprised how well you can handle it.
Now that sounds so powerful. I really like that tip. That's really good. I find that writing down and saying it out loud to yourself, just to that in itself, definitely
Exactly.
makes an effect right away.
It removes the power that the situation that you're building up in your head has. By making it real, then it's something you can take real steps towards solving.
Right. Thank you for that. That was a really good tip. Well, I really appreciate you giving me the time today. And I think that many of our viewers will definitely get a lot out of this and the helpful tips that you gave. And I want to just remind everyone, so we're going to have her links in the description. If you just want to check them out, you can check her out on her social media and her website, and keep a lookout for her book that's coming out. It sounds really good. And when you have, if you do end up doing like workshops and things like that, you'll probably have them on your website too, right?
Absolutely. It'll all be there. And you can contact me through my website as well. Or if you want to put up my email, please do. People can contact me directly if they want to.
Okay, that sounds so good. Thank you for offering that. I'll definitely make sure we have all that in the description. So like I said, everyone, thank you for watching. And just please, if you found some value out of this, like the video and hit subscribe, and the little bell will let you know when I put up new content, and you can follow our journeys. I will definitely have more valuable content out there for you in the future. And I hope you all have a beautiful day. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.